Hello everybody, thank you for joining us today here for another great event. Thank you for taking the time out to join us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I'd like to thank the Canyon City Public Library Foundation for providing the funds for such great events to bring to Canyon City. I'd also like to thank the Steeple Event Center for having such a beautiful venue and allowing us to host these amazing events here. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the Colorado Humanities for partnering with us and bringing such wonderful events to Canyon City. So without further ado, I will hand the mic over to our Mary Hickey with the Colorado Humanities.
Thanks, Adam. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here in this beautiful part of the state. My name is Mary Hickey. I'm the Director of Programs at Colorado Humanities, and I'll share a little bit about our organization in a moment. But I would like to thank the Steeple Events Center and the Canyon City Public Library for being such outstanding, continuous partners of our work. We're really happy and excited to be here. And you guys always have just great turnouts, so that's fantastic. So this is Black History Live. This is the last stop on our tour. Each February, and I know it's March 1st, so we're kind of creeping into March now, but each February, for a few weeks of the month, we bring Black History Live, which is a statewide tour to honor significant African American figures from our past. Colorado Humanities is a nonprofit organization that's affiliated with and funded primarily by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Every state has a Humanities Council dedicated to bringing educational programs and resources to its community members across its state. We hope you'll enjoy the program today and be inspired to read further, question more, and share about Armstrong's life with others. On your way out today, I have some postcards for Louis Armstrong and for Harriet Tubman, if you didn't get one a few weeks ago, with a recommended reading list on the back and a brief bio of that person. In addition to magnets and pens and other stuff that you're more than welcome to take home with you. Just really quickly, if you haven't already, please take a moment to silence your phone. Also on your way out, I'll have some evaluations, and if you have time, we very much appreciate and value your feedback as we develop programs for next year. Okay, so I think a lot of you already know this, but Chautauqua is the format that we're doing the portrayal in today, and that's a first-person dramatization of a historical figure. The speaker's monologue lasts about 40 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of question and answer, first in character as Louis Armstrong, and next out of character as the performer Marvin Jefferson. Marvin Jefferson has an extensive background as an educator, professional actor and director, and living history scholar. He has devoted many years to studying the lives of Paul Robeson and Martin Luther King Jr. Since 1997, he has engaged audiences across the country with his popular Chautauqua performances of these two important historical figures. And in 2012, he was commissioned to portray York for Ohio Chautauqua. Most recently, Jefferson toured Colorado as Martin Luther King Jr. in February 2024 as part of Black History Live. Now, if you'll join me, we're going to meet Louis Armstrong in the year 1966. It's the evening, and we are in a dressing room at a theater in Los Angeles after a gig. Mr. Armstrong is speaking with a reporter who wants to write an article about his life. What will the great Satchmo talk about? Let's listen.
Mr. Merriman, you want to write an article about the great Satchmo for your magazine life? All right, well, got about half an hour. Got fans waiting to talk to Pops. And I never want to disappoint. We can talk more in depth at my home in Queens. Yeah, I'm gonna leave my tuxedo on so we can take some good pictures. I won't be blowing up my horn though. Already did that, I gotta rest my chops. And also, I got all this bridge work done in my mouth, man. I don't know how I've been able to blow all this stuff in my mouth, man. But trust and believe, I found a way. So, what should we talk about? Why don't we just break it up? Start from the beginning. July 4th, 1900, I was born in New Orleans, in a section known as the Back of Town, Jane Alley. Mary Ann, who I call Mary Ann, was my mother, and she raised and supported me and my sister Beatrice, who I call Mama Lucy. Beatrice was 2 years younger than me. My mother did this all by herself. I lived with my mother from 5 years old until I was old enough to live on my own. We had a few stepfathers, but we didn't really get a chance to know our real father growing up. His name was Willie Armstrong. I don't have too much good to say about him. Yeah, we moved from back of town to the city where the honky-tonk was located. Yeah, a whole row of Negroes of all types of characters lived in these rooms that they rented and fixed up the best way that they could. I mean, we were all poor. Now, some of these Negroes tried to look down on my mother, tried to take advantage of her because they thought that they were smarter than her. And, you know, she was young, raising 2 children on her own till they were grown, which was one hell of a struggle. Yeah. I had to work after a little bit of school, and I had to work at a very young age to help the family. I myself will never forget. There were many kids who suffered with hunger because their fathers wouldn't do the honest work they could have done. I'm telling you, man, if it weren't for the nice Jewish family, the Kanofskis, I would have starved many a time. I will always love the Jewish people all of my life. Yeah. I worked for the Kanofskis when I was very young, pulling a junk wagon, which also delivered coal. And they looked out for me. I was able to eat over there at home sometime when I worked late, or I could even sleep over sometime. I was even able to borrow money from them to buy my first cornet. Yeah. Mrs. Karnofsky would sing a Russian lullaby. And sometimes I would listen and join in. She said I had a voice. Man, it was beautiful. Yeah, I had to keep working, help me and put bread on the table. I wasn't fortunate enough to have parents to pay for my schooling. I had to work. It was just the 3 of us living in this one big room, which was all we could afford. But we were happy. My mother had one thing that no matter how much schooling anyone has, and that was good common sense and respect for human beings. Yeah, that's my diploma. All my life I remember it. To me, no college in the whole world could ever top it, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, man. Man. Yeah, you know, when I was born, my mother and father lived with my dear grandmother, my moms and pops. They argued and fought to the point of blows. Finally, my mother had to leave. You know, she left me with my grandmother, and my father, he left to be with some other woman. My mother, she moved to a place at Liberty and Perdido Street, which was filled with prostitutes who did not make as much money as the prostitute from Storyville, the famous red light district. Now, did my mother do any hustling? I can't say for certain. But if she did, she definitely kept it from my side. Now, one thing I can say for certain, everyone, from the church-going folk to the lowest of the low, treated my mother with the greatest respect. My mother, she said hello to everybody. And she kept her head held high. She never envied anybody. I suppose I inherited that from my mom. Yeah, I loved and learned from my grandmother as well, the short time I was with her. Yeah, she took her time teaching me right from wrong. She wouldn't hesitate to whip my butt when necessary. Man, sometimes she would send me to get a switch, a switch. I would come back with the smallest one I could find. Yeah, sometimes she'd laugh and let it go, but if she was really angry, man, she'd whip my butt for everything I had done for weeks. Yeah, man, we do the same thing. Yeah, 2 years later, my father decided to leave the woman he was with and get back with Marianne, and which resulted in my sister, Beatrice Mama Lucy, being born. Yeah, and seen my mother for 5 years. Eventually, I moved back with my mom. Although it was sad to leave my grandmother, I loved my mother just the same. You see, Marianne felt that she hadn't done right by me when she left me with my grandmother, and she wanted somehow to make it up to me, which she most definitely did. Now, she did have these stepfathers, though. Every time I turned around, another stepfather would appear. Now, some of them were good guys, but some of them were downright lowlives, like Slim, and especially Albert. Man, one day, Marianne and Albert got to an argument. He called her a dirty name, and he punched her in the face, knocking her to the water. Man, her face was bloody. Man, she was frantic. She was screaming, and I was frantic. I swore if I ever saw Albert again, I'd kill him. Never happened, though. Some old timers said that Albert had died. Oh, well. Now, when Slim and Marianne got together, I was a little bit older. And every day there were fights in the neighborhood, man. They were fights between prostitutes and toughs and kids. I guess that's why they called it the battlefield. Anyway, one day, 10 o'clock a.m., Slim and Marianne started fighting. And a friend of mine ran up to me and said, Dipper! One of my nicknames short for Dipper Mouth. Some man had beaten your mother up. Man, I dropped my book, tore up to the battle. And when I got there, Slim and Marianne were still fighting. Slim, leave my mother alone, man. Leave her alone. He wasn't paying me no never mind. And that's when I thought, bricks. Yeah. I started throwing bricks at her. And I didn't waste nary one. The great picture Satchel Paige ain't have nothing on me. Run like hell! Slim will jump you! That's what people were yelling. But no worries, because one of the bricks had hit Slim in the side. He doubled up. He wasn't going to run after me or anyone else. Pain got so bad he had to go to the hospital. I never saw Slim again. And he was a pretty good blues player, but aside from that, we ain't have nothing in common. And I didn't particularly like his style, nor did I like him beating up on my mother. There would be no one messing with my mother if I could help it. Oh yes, Mr. Merriman, I got so many stories, I don't know where to stop. And I would like to talk a little bit about me being sent to the colored youth home for boys, because it was there that I began my journey as a serious musician. Now, when I was younger, me and my friends, man, we would go around singing, and we'd be like imitating musical instruments with our voice. They call it scat now, but when we were young, that's what we did. And when I heard the great Joe King Oliver play his cornet for the first time, man, it impacted me then and now. Well, anyway, one day, New Year's Eve to be exact, I wanted to do something special. Now usually, I'd be with my friends singing on the streets, for coins. But man, it was New Year's Eve, not just about singing. I found a 38 caliber pistol in my mother's drawer, probably from one of my stepfathers. In any case, I put it under my belt, pulled down my shirt, went with my friends, and during the festivities, we saw somebody shooting a gun up in the air. And And one of my men said, "Get him, Dipper." Man, when I hesitated, I pulled out my gun, pointed it to the sky, and let it rip. Boom, 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 boom. You see, my gun was louder. And the other kid with his gun, he got scared and ran. Man, me and my friends were laughing and singing, walking down the street, not a care in the world. I loaded up again, much to the delight of my friends, but suddenly, the strong arms, the police, for those who don't know, caught me from behind, and my friends split. I turned around, I saw that tall white policeman who had been looking at me firing off my gun the whole time. Oh man, I pleaded, oh man, please, don't arrest me. I promise I won't do it again. Please, but let me go back to my mama. Please don't arrest me. Oh, with no use. They locked me up. I slept on a cold, hard bed till the morning. I was sick and downhearted, let me tell you. I was also scared. It was more scared than I had been when Joe Johnson knocked out Jim Jeffries. You see, on that day, I was selling some newspapers that I stole. And a group of black kids ran up to me and said, Joe Johnson knocked out Jim Jeffries, and the white boys are sore about it, and they're going to come take it out on us. Man, I ran home in a flash. But this, the way it was, man, came to my cell. Louis Armstrong, yes sir, this way, you're being sent to the colored waste home for boys. I didn't know it then, but that was a turning point in my life in a good way, because it was there that I learned not just the sense of discipline, but I learned how to become a real musician. Yeah. I know these stories, Mr. Merriman, how they must sound about me growing up in New Orleans and all that stuff, but I tell you, I wouldn't trade my growing up in New Orleans for any place else in the world. I loved it. Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans and miss it each night and day? I know I'm not wrong. The feeling getting stronger the longer I stay away. Yeah, the moss-covered pines, the tall sugar pines, where mockingbirds used to sing. And I'd like to see that lazy Mississippi hurrying into spring. Oh, Mr. Merriman, you want to talk about 1957? Oh man, every time I talk about that year or think about it, it makes me angry, pissed off, and sad at the same time. It did. I mean, it was in 1957. We were touring Tennessee, and I was playing on my horn. I believe back of town blues, but some fool decided to throw some dynamite at the place I'm playing in. When I heard the explosion, I said, "That's all right, folks. It's just the phone." Afterwards, I spoke to someone. I said, "Man, I'll play wherever they'll listen." Now, I know I've been playing in some segregated houses, and I know that's not cool for some people, but see, my horn and music don't know nothing about that racial stuff. But one day, that racial stuff, along with a lot of other things I was dealing with at the time, the one-nighters, my beat-up chops, etc., came to a head when I was watching on the TV what was happening in Little Rock, Arkansas, with the little Negro children trying to get to school down there. These are children we're talking about, being cursed at, heckled, spit at. I looked on the faces of these children, and I saw both fear and courage. Well, anyway, when me and my band, an integrated band, by the way, arrived in Grand Forks, North Dakota, for an evening gig, I got so pissed off with what I saw on the TV that I got together with a reporter from the University of Arkansas, and I let loose the way this country mistreating my people in the South, this government can go to hell. It got to the point where colored men ain't even got a country. I said that President Eisenhower is two-faced and got no guts because he's allowing Governor Orville Fowler to run the country. Now, it was said in the article that I called Governor Fowler an uneducated plowboy. What I really called him started with the word mother. I ain't gonna say the whole thing, but you can read between the lines. Now, the reporter asked if there was anything else I wanted to change. I said, no. You keep it just like that. That's what I said, and I still say it. Solid. And I kept going. Now, I'm supposed to be America's cultural ambassador to the Soviet Union. But if I go over there and they ask me what's wrong with my country, what am I supposed to tell them? I would not take back a thing I've said. I have played beautiful music for 40 years, but I feel the downtrodden situation just like any other Negro. My parents and my family suffered through all that old South stuff. And things supposed to be new now. This is me. I feel that my people, the Negro, we don't want a whole lot. All we want is a square shake. But when I look at the TV and read the newspaper about some little colored girl getting spit on, I got a right to get sore. Do you dig me when I still say that I got a right to blow my top over injustice? Hole in the bed, spring-hearted leg. Feel like old Ned, wish I was dead. What did I do to be so black and blue? Even the mouse ran from my house. They laughed at you and scorn you too. What did I do to be so black and blue? I'm right inside. That don't help my case, 'cause I can't hide what is in my face. How it end? Ain't got a friend. My only sin is in my skin. What did I do? I really got dogged for what I said, Mr. Merriman. By those white and black. I guess they didn't expect old quote Uncle Tom unquote Satchmo to break it down like that. You know what was very painful for me, that I got very little support from my fellow Negro musicians. That hurt. Still does. I would not take back a thing that I said. I was just trying to stop Negroes from getting their head beat in at the time. That's all. You know, Mr. Merriman, can we change this subject? Because this is depressing the hell out of me. I know what will change it for you, Mr. Merriman. Let's talk about laxatives. Yes, with Prince. You ever hear it? You ever heard of it? Ever tried? But wait a minute, man. Wait a minute now. When I was little, you see, my mother, she was a wonderful cook. But we were poor, man, and a lot of the food she made was heavy. So she went down by the railroad track to get all kinds of oils and all that. She'd come back, boil it up, and give it to me and my sister to drink. Now, according to her, sickness started in the stomach. So we cleared out the stomach. no sickness. So she made me and my sister promise to take our physics, that's what they called accident back then, our physics every day. Now, when I grew older, I drank what they call Pluto water. But, you know, the problem with that is that we traveling, you know, it would break. But then I came across with Chris, and it's been smooth sailing ever since. Listen, man, listen, tell you something. When you go to that bathroom, and you go on that throne, you got to leave it all behind you, man. You understand? You got to leave it all behind. Now, that changed the subject. Oh, yes. Yes, with grace. Oh, hello, darling. Oh, yeah, man. Hello, darling. Oh, yeah, that came out the blue, man. We didn't see that coming. Hey, listen. Now, in the winter of 1963, I was scheduled, along with my band, to record 3 songs. One was Hello Dolly from the Broadway musical Hello Dolly before the musical opened. The other was from the same musical called A Penny in My Pocket. And the other was called Got a Lot of Living to Do from the musical Bye Bye Birdie. Might have heard about it. Then it came. Now, you know, we listened to the song, you know. And so when we got to the studio, they cut the Penny in My Pocket song. So we recorded Got a Lot of Living to Do, and what we call it Dolly. Now, I wasn't crazy about Dolly when I first heard it. I didn't like it. I think, you know, you asked me to come to the studio to do this. But, you know, we tinkered with it, you know. Now, starting off, first thing we hear, you know, I start, hello, Dolly, okay. Now, the sound engineer said, why don't I introduce myself? And he suggested that I do this. Hello, Dolly, this is Louis. I go, oh, wait a minute. My name is Louis, not Louis. I ain't from France. Okay? And so now when you hear the song, that's what you hear. Okay? So we recorded it, didn't think twice about it. Now about 3-4 months later, we're touring in the Midwest. And you know, we finished the song, and from the crowd we hear, hello, Dolly! Hello, Dolly! And I'm like, well, you know, I ignore it, because I don't know what that's about. You know, so we go to another gig, and we finish the song, and we hear it, hello, Dolly! Hello, Dolly! I couldn't say hello, Dolly, man. Now, one of my band members said, no, man, remember we recorded these songs last year in New York. I'm a Broadway musical. And I said, well, did anybody remember this damn song? I mean, you know, we didn't have any sheet music, so we didn't, you know, so we had to buy a record. Yeah, and listen to the song so we could, you know what to do. And so we did that, included the song into our thing. And when the piano player hit the first few notes, man, people started yelling and screaming and jumping up and down. It was pandemonium. This thing was a huge hit on the radio, and we had no idea. In fact, the thing was climbing the charts so fast that it became #1, knocking off the Beatles. Yeah. So what we're going to do today, Mr. Merriman, is we're going to sing Hello, Dolly. Now, I said, why? Because it is my interview, man. It is, you know, my interview, my rules. You got to listen to pop rules, man. Now, okay. So I'm going to do the first, you know, stanza, you know, and then I'll have you come in case you don't know the rhythm of the song. Okay, here we go. Let me try it again. Hello, Dolly, this is Louis. Dolly, it's so nice to have you back where you belong. You're looking swell, Dolly. I can tell, Dolly. You're still growing, you're still going strong. I feel the room swaying from band playing one of our old favorite songs from way back when. So take her rap, fellas, find her an empty lap, fellas, Dolly, never go away again. Now that's my part. Okay. I appreciate you clapping with the merriment, but I want you to join me. I will slow it down a little bit so you catch up. All right, let's see if I get it now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, Dolly, this is Louis. Dolly, it's so nice to have you back where you belong. You're looking swell, Dolly. I can tell, Dolly. You're still growing, you still growing, you still going strong. I feel the room swaying from the band playing one of our old favorite songs from way back when. So, God me, fellas, have a little faith in me, fellas. Dolly, never go away, promise, you'll never go away, Dolly, never go away again. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was a big hit for me. Man, next year, I got my first Grammy Award for Best Vocalist for a song, yeah. Hello, Dolly. Now that we're talking about music, I want to talk about the fulfillment of my dream. And that was to play with my idol, the great Joe King Oliver. See, back in 1922, I had become so popular in New Orleans, I could play anywhere. And I told myself that I would never leave New Orleans unless Joe Oliver asked me to join his band. See, Joe Oliver, he had left New Orleans in 1918 to Chicago, where he became a big hit. Well, he sent me a telegram and a letter asking me to come join him to play second cornet in his band. Now, I've seen many musicians leave New Orleans and come back messed up. So for me, it was with Joe or no go. Now, of course, my band was trying to convince me not to go, saying things like Joe was scabbing or that he was on the musician unions unfairly, but none of that stuff mattered to me. Man, I love and admire Joe Oliver since head to the pup, and he'd always been cool with me. And you know, at that time, I didn't know all about the unions and all of that, so all that stuff that was saying about Joe didn't matter to me. Man, I went home to pack up, make sure I caught that 7 p.m. train to the Windy City. My mother made me a trout sandwich. Yeah, and when I got to the train station, man, not only my band, but like everybody from New Orleans was there to wish me well. Oh man, even all these old sisters, man, these are, women who had looked after me when I was a kid growing up, and they were hugging me and crying, and they had handkerchief on their eyes because they were so happy for me. And then when the train came in, all the Pullman porters and the waiters who had known me from playing on the tailgate wagon, playing the advertised for dances or balls, as we called them, they all said, "Where you going, Jimbo?" And man, when the conductor said, "All aboard," I said, "Man, I'm going to Chicago to play with my idol, Papa Joe." And the rest, as they say, Mr. Merriman, is history. Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans and miss it each night and day? I know I'm not wrong. The feeling's getting stronger the longer I stay away. Yes, the moss-covered vines, the tall sugar pines, where mockingbirds used to sing. And I'd like to see that lay in Mississippi, hurrying in to spring. Oh, the Mardi Gras memories of Creole tunes that fill the air. I dreamed of old magnolias in bloom and wishing that I was there. Do you know what it means to meet New Orleans, where that's where you left your heart? And there's something more. I meant the one I cared for more than I meant New Orleans. Interview's over. Let them fans in. Come. Yeah, let them fans in. All right, y'all. Now you're done. I done did this interview thing, and I let all y'all in. Now, if anybody have any questions about that whole thing, this might right there is.
Mr. Armstrong, would you ever marry?
Now, why you want to be all in my business? Yeah, I was married 4 times. Oh yes, 4 times. But this last one, Lucille, she's my heart. I don't plan on getting married no more after this. Let me tell you. Yes, anyone else? And then, yeah, but okay, here you go. Yeah.
How much did you have to fight for your wages?
How much did I have to fight?
Yeah, how much was your wages held back from your royalties?
Oh, Lord, you were talking about royalties. Well, you know, at the time, early on, you know, people would come up to me and say, hey, you know, that's a good song there, Louis. How about I pay you $50 for it? And, you know, not knowing any better, you know, I gave them $50 and they took the song. But, you know, I learned as time went on. You know, I learned to, you know, do that thing, you know, you pay that money to send it down to Washington and get that, you know, that thing to make sure your music is yours. So at first I would say it was ignorance of not knowing, you know, but as time went on, I became hip. And, you know, after that, I didn't have no more problems. You know, but, you know, at first, you know, I didn't know no better. You know, I didn't know no better at all. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
Did you ever get a chance to buy your mama a house?
Oh. Well, no, I didn't get a chance to buy my mother a house because my mother didn't live as long as I'd like her to. She died at 56. But I was able to get her a fully furnished apartment. Yes, that was one of the proudest moments of my life. That's when I started, you know, achieving some fame in Chicago. And so I did that for her. And that was a moment that meant a lot to me because she struggled so much. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, right here.
So you your business, but children?
Yeah, you mean my business again. Well, I have one adopted son. His name is Clarence. Clarence is, well, my cousin, when she had Clarence, she died in childbirth. And I was only 14 years old, but I took him on as a son. And I've been raising him ever since. So yeah, I would say Clarence is the only, you know, adopted son that I know of.
Was he in music also?
No, he wasn't in the movie. No, not at all. Yes.
Do you know you want to play cornet? I know you said they brought home for you. Did you ask for a cornet? Is that something that you, and were you also taught? Did you have any teachers at all? Did you just provide some whole, play by ear your whole life?
You asking a lot of questions. You got a lot of questions. Well, to answer the first one, I get to let run into the other ones. I always had an affinity for the horn. Even when I was with the Kanofsky's as a child, you know, when I was pulling the coal wagon, they had me a little like a tin horn, and I'd be blowing, you know, to announce that we're coming. I saw the cornet in the window. It was kind of old, but I wanted it, and they gave me the money. I was able to borrow money from them to get it. It was just something in me. Now, I didn't know the mechanics. I just had, you know, I would listen, and I had this thing in me that wanted to play the horn. And so when I was sent to the colored waste home, that's when I began to learn the mechanics of play. The gentleman there by the name of Peter Davis, and although he didn't want to be bothered with me at first because he saw me as just another bad kid from the battlefield, I kept hanging around the band and kept looking, and eventually he said, well, here, he gave me a cornet, and I started playing it. He taught me the mechanics of it to the degree where I led the band at the corner of the colored waste home. And one of the proudest moments for me was to be marching down the street, you know, my whole neighborhood and all the people there seeing little Lewis, and they were so proud, including my mother. Yes, I'm gonna get into my head, and Henry. Yeah.
That's weird. How many songs did you write?
How many songs did I write? I don't know, man. I wrote a lot of songs. You know, I wrote a lot of songs in the early days. You know, 20, 30. I wrote a lot of them. You know, just off the top of my head. Again, not thinking that these songs would be meaningful in some way, shape, or form. Because I was young and, you know, didn't think about it. But I wrote a lot of the early ones. I wrote on my own. Yeah. You know. Okay, let me read the gentleman right there.
Outside of the United States, where did you and your band like to play?
Oh my goodness. Played everywhere, man. Everywhere. We played in England, we played in Japan, we played everywhere. I guess what was most special for me was playing in Ghana. Yeah. You know, that was something, man. See people responding to your music and, you know, hearing those rhythms, and I saw a woman there who was dancing who reminded me of my mother. So Ghana had a special place for me. But no, man, we've been all over the world. We've been all over the world. Oh, yes. Anyone else? Yeah.
What was your first experience on television?
My first experience on television? I don't know. I don't know what program I was on. I have no idea. I've been all over TV. You know, I've been, people like Bing Crosby and that, they kind of introduced me to Hollywood and all of that. And, I've been on all kinds of shows, What's My Line, and all kinds of things, you know. So I can't tell you the exact first time I've been on TV. I've been on TV a lot. Yeah, continue to be. Yeah, let me get over here, yes.
Where did you live when you became famous and you could afford to live probably anywhere?
Where I live? Well, ultimately, I wound up my wife, Lucille, my fourth wife. She purchased a home in Pomona, Queens. And that's where I live now. I never had a home before. And that was the first one. My first, I was kind of trepidation because, I didn't want to put on any kind of airs and all that, but I come to love the home. And, Pomona, Queens, at my home. Yeah. Someone had been, okay, right back in here.
Two questions. The family that adopted you, I wanted to address that, if you had stayed in touch with them, and also then address the song you wrote, Beautiful World, and how it relates right now, or at least recorded to.
Okay, now you talking about the Kanofsky's at first?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I stayed in touch. I did stay in touch with their son. Now, their mother, she passed away, but I did stay in touch with their son. Certainly, when I came to New Orleans, and we're still, I love that family, man. I truly do. Now, you keep this song, A Wonderful World. Now we in 1966, so I don't know nothing about Wonderful World. I don't know nothing about that. Now, if you know a song called Wonderful World that's going to be a hit, send it to my agent. Yeah, send it to my agent. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it yet. Anyone else? Let me look, okay, yes.
Yes, didn't you perform with us at the White House with the Kennedys?
No, I didn't perform for the Kennedy. I haven't performed any president, believe it or not.
You were never at the White House?
No, never performed for any president. No, no, not one.
That's just not right.
And not one.
In my mind, you were at his inauguration for crying out loud.
Oh, no. Ain't one pops like that. I don't know. Yeah.
What musician today, 1966, would you most like to play with that you have not had a chance?
I played with a lot of musicians, man. So, but, I mean, the musicians I'm playing with now, I'm good. Right now, they got a bebop thing happening. And, I have come to be more gracious about bebop, but I don't have any, well, let's say that in 1959, there was a television program that I did with Jackie Gleason. Yeah, and I was playing with Dizzy Gillespie. Yeah, and we were kind of like a summit, kind of like a laying down the hatchet, and it was cool, man. And, I did, some of the stuff, I did some bebop. Early on, I had a problem with it, I called it jujitsu music, But right now, anybody who would be willing to, join with pops. I mean, I've been with some of the greatest, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, been with a lot of them. Oscar Peterson, he did an album. So yeah, anybody who want to, swing with old pop, because they would call it the moldy figs. Yeah, anybody want to swing with pop, and yeah, we can put it together. But I don't have any specific person, like top of my head now. I see someone right here. Yeah.
So I heard you had kind of a trouble relationship with Miles Davis.
Say this again. Let me hear.
I heard you had kind of a troubled relationship with Miles Davis. Is that right?
Well, again, I'm getting on there. I wouldn't call it a troubled relationship. I had a troubled relationship with all the beboppers, man, at one time. Again, I call it jujitsu music, man. You can't dance to it. You can't swing to it. They're trying to break up the melody and, they're flying and flipping all over the place, man. So that's not my thing. Now, that was early on, and we would go back and forth with each other, and laugh and all that stuff. But as time has gone on, I have become more appreciative, that's the younger generation. And, even though they may call me old-fashioned, they know pop meaning to their music. They understand it. They know that without me, they wouldn't be doing a lot of what they do. So they know that. So with that understanding, I wish the bebop as well, but I'm going to keep on blowing that New Orleans thing, man. I'm going to keep on being a moldy thing. That's all right. Yes.
I heard rumors where the term saxophone came from. Can you enlighten us about that?
Sure. You want to know the term saxophone? Well, I had a lot of nicknames when I was growing up. They had a lot of nicknames in New Orleans. But mine, Dipper Mouth, Satchel Mouth, Gate Mouth, all that. So, I suppose the gentleman from England had heard the nickname Satchel Mouth. And so when I got off the plane, he said, "Oh, how do you do, saxophone?" That's how that did. Now, at first I was kind of taken aback, but then I said, I like this. I like saxophone, so, it stuck. And there was some gentleman from England welcoming me, to England, and that's how saxophone came about. Yes, one last question, yes.
50 years ago, I had a cat named Saxophone.
Oh, yeah. He must have been a gas. I want to thank all of you. Y'all the whole thing. Thank you.
any questions for the scholar Marvin Jefferson?
Yes.
Adam's coming around.
Yes, yes, sir.
Tell us about your best resources, please.
Best resources? There's a book by Terry Teachout called Pops. There's a book by Ricky Riccardi called What a Wonderful World, which looks at the latter part of Lewis's life. What a Wonderful World, the song came about in 1967. This is in 1966. So that's why Lewis didn't know, good song. There's a book by Gary Gibbons called Satchmo. And there's a book that he wrote. He was perhaps the first jazz musician to write his own autobiography. There's one called My Life in New Orleans, which is very good, very insightful. I would say those four are very good resources for Louis Armstrong. There are many of them. There's a lot of people who know other things, but those are the ones that and other ones as well. Yes.
I just wondered if now you could address,
Now could I what?
could you address the song, It's a Wonderful World?
Yeah, Wonderful World. It was 1967, and it was, given to him and suggested to him, and he fell in love with the song, and because it kind of expressed a certain idealism that he had, particularly when he talked about children and watching them grow, because he experienced that when he was living in Corona, Queens, seeing the different generations of children growing. And, Lewis was about joy. And at the end, was really about, that's not to say all the other things that impacted him, but certainly that song kind of expressed an idea that he believed and he hoped for. Certainly. Yeah. It's a beautiful song. Yes.
You're too young to have seen him in person, but did you watch?
I'm not that young, but go ahead.
Did you ever see him?
I didn't get a chance to see him in person, but that wasn't, I may look young, but I'm not that young. But no, I would have, within my lifetime, I could have seen him, but I just hadn't seen him.
What about videos? Did you?
Oh yeah. So that's part of my research, There's a good documentary called Black and Blue, which, looks at Lewis from a different angle. There's a video called Satchmo. There's a video called It's a Wonderful World. I looked at, interviews with him, particularly one where he was on the Dick Cavett show. I don't know if anybody remembers Dick Cavett. It was a great interview, but I got a lot from that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So avoiding talking badly about some researchers, are there sources that you would recommend we avoid that were too biased one way or the other or too presumptuous?
Many of the books that I've read have been quite even-handed and fair to Lewis, because they understand his beginnings and they understand in large part his personality. I haven't run across any books that talk badly about him. No, I haven't run across them. I haven't run across them. Yeah, he may be out there. I haven't run across them. Yeah.
But I don't recall his idol when he went to Chicago to join the band. But what was his reaction to being in a band? You mentioned unions, and was it a good experience? Or, how quickly did he leave that band to start his own?
Oh, man. Well, number one, he was honored to be part of Joe Oliver's band. And, that was an honor for him. And musically, they kind of connected in a way that no one really understood. But his second wife, Lil Hardin, played piano in that band. And, they got together and hooked up. And when she married him, she said, well, Lewis, I can't be married to a man who plays second cornet. I have to be married to a man who plays first cornet. And Louis was like, hey, no, what are you talking about? I love Joe, I can't leave with it. And she said, well, it's either going to be Joe or it's going to be me. And as it turned out, it was her. She was the one who pushed him out on his own. See? And so when he left that, he went to New York to play with Fletcher Henderson, you know, and then he came back to Chicago, ultimately. And I believe in what, 25? He came to 26, whatever. He came back to Chicago and started, you know, I guess it would be a lot more like a recording, like a band that recorded called the Hot 5 and the Hot 7. And it was those recordings that literally changed the face of American music, changed the face of jazz. Those recordings, you know, like West End Blues and all of those songs that, you know, when you hear jazz musicians talk about them, they say it pointed the way to the future. So yeah, after he was on his own. He also did a song called Heebie Jeebies. Now what was interesting about that song is that they were in a recording studio and they were recording it, and you know, I guess he had the words on a music stand, and they fell. And the producer said, well, keep going. Keep going. And so Louis went back to when he was a kid and started started scatting. And so that was the first time that scat had been put on record. He didn't invent scat.
Wow.
But that was the first time, and so the producer said, well, Louis, you know, this is where scat was born. It was the first time it was recorded. Yeah. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, where you go?
How long do you give yourself to, when you have a new character, to when you're ready to perform?
Never, no. It basically takes a year. When Colorado Humanities asked me, it was in 23, if I wanted to do Louis Armstrong. And so it took basically there about a year until 24 when I performed him. But yeah, it took about a year. And it had to be at least a year. But the more time you spend, the better it gets. This is only my, 12th performance of it. Yeah. Well, let me get that right here.
Do you know how to play the cornet?
No. No. Certainly, even if I knew how to play it, I wouldn't even attempt to try to, I mean, he's one of the greatest, I wouldn't even do it. Which is why, you know, historically, there were points in time when he could not play, because he would play with such force, it basically impacted his mouth. I mean, there was a point in time when he was playing in England and his lips split open, he bled all over himself. Yeah. So, you know, there were times when the doctors said, look, you can't play. So there was some months. So, you know, with this, I had just finished playing. Okay, that's why he says at the beginning, I gotta protect my chops, man. And plus, he had to get a lot of dental work done, and that kind of impacted his playing. But no, man, I wouldn't even think about it. It's enough me trying to get up here and sing. No.
So in your research, I'm assuming you listened, of course, to his music, and then you read. Does the reading inform the music to you as a researcher, or does the music inform the reading?
They kind of play against each other. You know what I mean? I mean, the music is the first thing I hear. That's the first, because that's him. But because he was his own biographer, I could read his story and see how that impacted his music and how his music impacted his writing. So it kind of played off each other. So yeah, I would say both. I would say both. Let me get over here, you can jump here, then get right back there. Yes?
You had the opportunity to play this in New Orleans?
No, haven't been to New Orleans with this yet. No. Yes, sir.
Who prepared the monologue? Did you prepare the monologue?
No, I wrote it. Yeah, it was me. Yeah. Everything happened basically prepared their own monologue. So, I'm not special. I mean, every Chautauquan does that. Once you garner all your information and you've read it, then you have to start crafting your monologue, deciding what, things you want to talk about. And so you're kind of looking at the audience and you're looking at yourself and saying, okay, what do I want the audience to know about my particular figure? And everything has to be, historically sound. You can use a little dramatic license, but the dramatic license has to, expose the factual information. It can't obscure it. So I don't believe there was ever, the gentleman, Richard Merriman, was an actual reporter, and he actually did an interview with Louis Armstrong in 1966 for Life magazine. It was one of the more insightful interviews about Louis. And that's why I wanted to choose that and set it in a backstage. You know what I mean? So that's where the dramatic license is. But everything else, that's him. That's what happened. Yes. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any rights to your presentation that someone else can record and copy it?
Well, my presentation or this, writing, it's drawn from different writings and then I've crafted myself. But if you ask me if I copyrighted it, no, I don't know many Chicagoans who do, actually. Because, the information is drawn from, other people who have written the biographies or whatever. So I can't copyright it, as if it's my own, because it, basically drew from all the information that I've read. And I just crafted it and shaped it, that's all. Thank you.